So here we are in Cape Dorset, Nunavut. We have our friends arriving on snowmobile. We are about to hit the land and do our first real big adventure out here and explore what this town is all about.
All right, well, it's a beautiful morning on our first full day in Cape Dorset. We went on a little bit of a hike. It took about 30 minutes. There's some powder on the ground. It's negative 15, negative 12, something like that. And we're at kind of a park. And when we thought of a park, we all thought of kind of a provincial park. But we got here and it's really beautiful, actually. There's the oceans, the Arctic Ocean's there. There's some ice. There's an ice flow and some swings. It's actually really neat. Our guide, his name is Tuck, and he's an elder that has a rifle, but I can't find him. So if a polar bear does come, it's going to be a slaughter. Yeah, we had amazing conversations about hunting and all the different stuff it hunts.
What do you like to hunt?
Belugas, whales, or seals, or polar bears.
Yeah.
But I normally don't polar bears unless they threaten us.
Right.
After the first day of the trip, we had already learned a lot about the town of Cape Dorset. We began to learn about the culture, the geography, what they did for fun, and had gotten to know the people we would be spending our adventure with. When we returned to the school, we experienced a mix of culture. Following a cooking competition where the twin pairs combined southern and northern cooking styles, we listened to an elder tell traditional stories about what life was like long ago. Afterwards, a Hollywood movie and southern snacks made us feel a bit more at home before it was time for bed. After an earlier rise on Monday, we got ready to hit the land.
So we're laughing at pennies, we're laughing at... and then track pants, running shoes, no mitts, and no hat.
Sitting in wooden sleds called kamatiks, we left school and headed out into the snow. After we reached a point far from any signs of civilization, we set up camp to begin ice fishing. Near the end of the day, we were treated with a demonstration of the traditional art of igloo making. This is an art handed down through generations, and one of the most famous aspects of Inuit culture. It was an honor for us to have witnessed. After catching barely any fish the whole day, we returned to the school, where we played some popular games, including ping pong and soccer. That night, we headed to the arena to watch another pastime, proving that no matter where you go, some things never change. Cape Dorset is known for their art, which can be found around the world. So, after watching a short documentary about printmaking, we walked to the Artists' Co-op where we learned much more about the rich culture in Cape Dorset.
Back in 1959, a guy named Mr. Epic and James Houston thought about how to make money for Inuit people because there was no earning money or any jobs around at that time. The only way to earn money at that time was to hunt seals and sell some hides for fox.
So along with being a source of culture, art is an important part of the Cape Dorset economy. We were able to learn what brings these special masterpieces to life, from drawing, to carving, to painting, and finally to making the actual print. As a souvenir, Mr. Finkelstein bought one of these rare artworks, of which only 50 are ever made.
We have a set here and other 49 sets across Canada.
After our tours of the artist co-op, we watched a carving demonstration. This was followed by a trip to a hill in the middle of the town, giving a beautiful and scenic view of Cape Dorset. Another highlight of the day was the eye-opening trip to the co-op store, where we learned what effect isolation had on your day-to-day life and began to appreciate once again our home and how easy we have it. The price of food also discourages kids from eating healthy, as junks are much less expensive. In response to this, several Stratford students held a cooking class to teach children simple, healthy alternatives.
Okay, so they're cooking potato pancakes and poached eggs, and Paul is helping teach them how to do it, and so is Ritz, and I'm taking pictures.
The goal was to make healthy eating more popular among kids, a theme which would be continued later in the trip. That night, after another movie and an unsuccessful attempt at seeing the Northern Lights, it was time for bed. Wednesday morning, we met some new people. Some of the younger classes wanted to meet the Southerners, so we told them about ourselves. In turn, they taught us more about life in their town.
At home, though, we can swim in the water.
I wish I could come.
Is there a pool at your arena too?
Yeah.
Yeah? Is it open in the summer?
Yep.
Dinnick?
Yeah.
What's Dinnick mean?
Name.
That's your name?
Yeah.
Soon, however, it was time to say goodbye to our new friends and get ready to hit the land once again.
Getting a picture myself. Like, I'm never gonna look this ridiculous again. I just look at a picture.
Bundled head to toe to fight off near and minus 40-degree temperatures, we set off to climb Mount Kingate, overlooking Cape Dorset. After nearly an hour of climbing headfirst into the wind, we were informed that the rest of the trip would be more difficult, and that if we wanted to, we could turn back. Those who continued, however, were rewarded with one of the most breathtaking sights since arriving in Cape Dorset, the Arctic Ocean. As if in reward for what we had just accomplished, there was not much planned for the rest of the day. We prepared for the community feast and played more ping pong and soccer. That night, however, was the community elders' night, so we helped by preparing food and serving dishes. After the meal, we were given a demonstration of traditional clothing and games, and were allowed to take part in the activities that were planned.
Hold down with your right hand, if you're right hand.
On Thursday, the teachers persuaded us to play on their team for the Teachers vs. Students broomball game by saying things like, "It's just like hockey." It wasn't, and the students' team won a landslide victory. However, we had learned a new game and had had fun, so everyone left the arena in high spirits. That afternoon, as part of the ongoing Arctic Festival, we played 9 holes of golf on the frozen lake. We had planned another relaxing day after golfing, but a polar bear was sighted near the arena, so everyone rushed from the school to find it. However, we arrived too late and found nothing. Several of the students followed the sightings on snowmobile, heading across town and back. But when we had almost reached the bear, we were told by police to turn around. By the time we returned to Peter Pitzelak School, it was time to get ready for the community feast.
I'm at the community hall in Cape Dorset, getting ready for a community feast. Yeah.
None of the Stratford students were prepared for the culture shock that was the community feast. After the fish and caribou meat was spread on the ground, the elders were allowed to dig in, followed by adults and children. Using axes, saws, and knives called ulus, they dove into the feast. Most of the Stratford students, looking for a full cultural experience, tried the raw meat, seeing it as a once-in-a-lifetime experience.
They're cutting up some raw caribou with a hatchet and some raw fish and eating it. Tried it and it was alright, but don't think I can live off that.
Really like to cook stuff, frozen stuff. Not my thing.
After the cultural experience of the meal, we cleaned up the hall and waited for the dance. And waited some more.
We've been here since 7 o'clock. It's 8:40ish and we're just getting started right now.
Once it started, however, everyone had a great time.
Every day I'm shuffling.
On the morning of our last day in Cape Dorset, we had a chance to learn more about traditional games and what the Inuit did for fun. One of the elders also taught us about making the Chemetex we spent so much time riding.
So, craft one year steering with the big load.
Several students even got a chance to try their hand at this art. Later, we went on one last trip to the co-op and explored the town. By the afternoon, everyone's hearts were set for home. Unfortunately, a storm rolled in and delayed the flight, but 2 horror movies and a meal of poutine later, and we were on our way again. It was difficult saying goodbye to the twins we'd spent so much time with, but we knew we would see them again when they came to our home. So, at 7 o'clock that night, we boarded the plane. Everyone stared out the window as the plane took off, and the town where we had had such great experiences disappeared from our view. A few hours later, the plane touched down in Iqaluit, where we would spend one more night before returning home. May 6th, the Cape Dorset students were scheduled to arrive at Stratford Northwestern. However, more weather delayed the bus several hours.
It's 20 after 2 in the morning. Yeah, they're not here yet.
Nearing 3 o'clock, the bus finally arrived and twins were reunited. Everyone headed quickly to the hosts' homes and soon fell asleep, knowing there was another full week ahead of them. The next few days were full of activities, visiting all around southern Ontario and Perth County. The students learned many new things and skills and were introduced to southern culture.
This is a really interesting trip for the Cape Dorset students because they're not used to not only seeing grass, but even like asparagus. They got this at the Northern grocery store. It's never been this fresh before, and I don't think they've ever even thought about where it comes from.
It was interesting to see them marvel over parts of our day-to-day lives, but we soon realized that they must have thought the same thing when we were in Cape Dorset, looking at their culture for the first time. That week, we took our twins to theaters, cinemas, stores, malls, and restaurants, touring all around Stratford. All too soon, it was time to say one last sad goodbye, and our incredible adventure was over.
I like the culture there, and the weather was pretty nice. Minus 20, I think it was. Overall, good trip.
Did he tell us to go to
Great.
Yeah. Okay.
A lot of new friends and got to feel some extreme temperatures. Got to have hooligans knock on the window. Got to eat raw caribou, which didn't go over very well with me. But all in all, it was a great trip. And no regrets.
This exchange had been an incredible experience for all involved. A once-in-a-lifetime chance to see and do things few people ever get to, living a lifestyle completely different from our own. Along the way, we learned many new things, experienced extreme temperatures, ate new food, learned about a new culture, and made friends that hopefully will last a long time. Above all, however, we went on an amazing adventure that we will remember for the rest of our lives.
The crowd stands still. No one's moving, we just rather stand and wait until someone starts to move. Someone starts to move. Shake, 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 that's all that she makes. Gonna take what she will. Only mistake is if you stand still. So shake, 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 that's all what you make. Go be breaking until you know. Only mistake is if you stand still. It's only up to you. It's only up to you.
That's it, that's all.